the laptop dojo, where the strikes come from the fist, not from copyright bots. I'm Shifu Pain, and last time we took a look at the fundamental form of the staff with Yin Shao Gun. But this week we'll be taking a look at a weapon which is probably more universally well known, not just in martial arts, but just within culture in general, with the sword. So the sword that we're looking at today is known as the Dao sword, or the broadsword, which of course differs from its counterpart in China, the Jian sword, or straight sword.
The Dao sword is a weapon that dates back to the Shang Dynasty, or China's Bronze Age, where the Dao sword was called the straight-backed knife, or the Zhibei Dao. For a long time, the Dao sword was less common than its brother, the straight sword. That was until the Han Dynasty, where it began to be used by cavalry, as it was easier to use and a better slashing and chopping weapon than the Jian.
And just from looking at the two of these, from looking at our brief description of its history, you might be able to tell some of the key advantages and differences. Okay, so the straight sword has only one actual edge to it. Okay, and as you can see, the end of it as well, the end of the blade also has more weight to it. As you can see, there's more of a volume to the end of the sword compared to the narrower end towards the hilt. So obviously this sword is more made for chopping or slashing through targets. It's less for stabbing. But because the Dao sword is made more for chopping and slashing through its target, it lends itself more to wider, more sweeping movements. Hence why when it's paired with another martial art, it'll often be paired with something like Northern Shaolin. That is another style which is very strength focused and is more about long, wide movements rather than very short, very direct, very precise motions. But who wants to listen to all of that? We're here to learn the cool moves, so let's take a look at the Dao sword form.
We'll begin in sitting cat stance, with the sword clutched in our hand opposite to our dominant hand, so that it's parallel to the arm. We'll then rise up to the standard attention stance, with the arms raised over our heads. Next, we're going to pass the sword into our dominant hand. From here, we're going to transition to forward bow stance and diagonally slash across the left and then the right. Then spin the sword to rest at the hip and transition back to sitting cat stance with our palm forwards. Then we're going to transition to forward bow stance and stab forwards. Then we're going to swap sides, transitioning to horse stance and block by resting the sword blade in our palm. We're then going to drop to reverse bow stance and slash to the left. Then rise to crane stance and spin the sword to rest at the hip. Then twist the sword around the body and bring it to rest parallel to the upper arm opposite to our dominant hand and go into a toe kick. From here, we're going to transition to forward bow stance and stab forwards, transitioning then to reverse bow stance and chamber the sword, resting on the bicep of our dominant arm. Then drop down to crouch and stab backwards. Then rise up forward bow stance and stab forwards, then go to crane stance and slash upwards. Drop down to a crouch and stab backwards again, and finally we're going to walk forwards and slash strike horizontally towards the left and then the right, and finish by twisting the sword across the body and go to sitting cat stance to bow.
Now I'll repeat the form again for you at full speed. And that brings us to the end of our look with the Dao sword for today. Next time we'll be straying outside of Chinese martial arts and taking a look at the 540 kick. But until then, thank you all for watching, and until next time, peace be with you.